loaded up by the end of the evening. We'll also publish a link onto our social media pages should you want to share this with colleagues or to refer back to it at a later date. So in today's session, we're going to have a look at what is Just2easy for those of you that are brand new to the site. I'm going to show you how to access Just2easy and how it can be used to support the early years. So as part of that, we're going to look at easy logins for your pupils with QR codes. We all know that can be an incredibly painful process. So hopefully that will be the answer to your prayers. We're going to look at taking photos and videos and sounds. I haven't put that in, but sounds as well for evidence and sharing them to your pupils' files. I'm going to give you some practical activity ideas. So I'm going to look at JIT Paint, JIT Pictogram, creating simple jigsaws using J2E5. And I'm also going to showcase some existing activities that are available for you to use in the resource library. I am going to give a quick rundown of the parent portal. We're not going to go into the ins and outs of it, but we are going to look at how you can message parents through the parent portal. And then I'm going to offer you some follow-up training options. We have just scheduled a follow-up nursery early years foundation stage webinar for the 11th of December. So I'll give you more details about that at the end of the session, and also further support. So you can see, huge amount to get through today. Right, for those of you that are brand new to the site, you might be wondering what is Just2easy. It is a learning platform that's designed specifically for teaching and learning. So it's designed for children to be able to use as independently as possible as their age allows it. Now, the beauty of that is it's very much icon-based, it's colourful, it's intuitive, and the kids tend to pick it up really quickly. We want our users to be able to create, share and learn, and to do that as easily as possible, hence the name, Just2easy. The tools are designed to be cross-curricular, so that's definitely more appropriate for further up the school, but the tools can be used across all aspects of the early years framework. Suitable from foundation stage all the way up to key stage 3 or your senior schools. And there are accessibility tools built in for those who need that extra support. So we've got things like text to speech, speech to text, word lists, and they're all built into the tools ready to use. Now, in terms of accessing Just2easy, we are a cloud-based system. So you can access this anywhere as long as you have an internet connection and a device and an internet browser. So they work on any modern device, so Windows, PC, iPads, tablets, Androids, and all the popular browsers. The tools are built around an easy drag and drop cloud-based storage area called your My Files area, and that has unlimited capacity both for you and your pupils. And any files that are added can be shared or collaborated with other users, classes, schools, or worldwide. Now, in terms of logging into Just2easy, our site is called j2e.com. I should have written that on here. So j2e.com. Maybe one of my helpers in the background will be able to write that in the chat, just so you know. We have various managed services that use us at the moment. I know the majority of you joining us today are from C2K, so our Northern Irish schools. So you can log in via j2e.com and click on this EA button here and use your C2K credentials to log in. I know there's also quite a few of you that are joining us from Scotland, Aberdeenshire in particular, in which case you can use your RM Unify button and use your Glow credentials to log in. And we've got our Hub button for our Welsh users, LGFL for our London users, and it may be that you're a manual school, in which case you will have been given details on how to log in from your computing or your ICT lead. If you are confused about how you can log in, we do have the support desk at support@j2e.com should you need any help with that. Now I'm going to delve straight into it, and I'm going to talk about the evidencing tools. So one of the biggest ways that we can evidence in early years is by taking photos, videos and sounds of the children completing tasks. And we've got 3 brand new tools that we have introduced in the last few months, introduced or updated massively in the last few months. So these are 3. We've got sound, camera and video. These are available on your Launchpad. And they allow you to create child-centred evidence. Now, they all work in a very, very similar way. So I am going to show you the sound version because I'm streaming at the moment, the camera on the camera and video won't work, unfortunately, but they will work in exactly the same way. The tools also allow you to rename the file. You can add or share to multiple students' files. And a copy will be available within that child's files, which we will look at a bit later. But just to show you how this works, this is my Launchpad. So when you log in, this is what you'll see. It may be in a slightly different order than mine, but you will have these three tools here. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the sound button here. So this is a great way of capturing evidence, the children talking about maybe what they've done in a task. Maybe they could imagine a story, for example, or recount a story. So there's lots of uses for this. And all we do is click on this button here. Now with the video and the camera, that obviously will be either a record button or a photograph button where it will prompt you to take a photograph. So I'm going to hit this. It's going to count me down. This is my sound recording of me retelling a story. And I hit stop. So straight away, that's changed slightly. I can rename that file. So for example, I could say story retell. I could add in the student's name if I want to differentiate, maybe the date. It's entirely up to you. And at the moment, by default, it will save to my files. So I can just save that and I can move it at a later date. But if I click on these two arrows here, I have different options now. So I can select any user that was involved in this particular file. So if this was a photo and you had 5 children in it, you could tag all 5 children. You've got, by default, it'll open up into your class that you are registered within, but you can select a different class out of the list at the top. So if I go to class 1, I'm going to scroll until I find Lottie. There she is. And I can select multiple other children as well. So there we go. And I can unselect myself if I don't want to save it into my files, or I can select myself if I do want a copy in my files, and I can click OK. That's going to show that list. So it hasn't shared immediately. So if you have added a child by mistake, you do have the option then to take that away, just pressing that cross, and that will remove that child out of that list. And then when you're ready, you click Save. And it will prompt you if you want to start a new recording. So you can keep going with that process. And I'll say no. So that now has saved into my files because I selected it to save into my files. And there it is, just converting for some reason. If I refresh, I think it might need a little bit longer, but that should then be within your files ready to be played. Okay, so that is your sound. As I said, that works exactly the same for your camera and your video as well. You are able to then share to different students' files. And that is something that we think will be quite useful. So those are the evidencing tools. Right, we're going to talk about pupil logins because sometimes this is part of the issue with early years and foundation stage. Using certain sites is actually the amount of time it takes you to get them logged into those sites. So we have within Just2easy the ability to print out pupil login cards. So these are scannable QR codes. So if you are unfamiliar with a QR code, it's just a scannable link basically. So you can open up any device. So for example, your Surface Pro or an iPad or a Chromebook, as long as it's got a webcam, you can open up the camera app on that device and you can scan this QR code. It will log students straight in. No need for a username, no need for a password. So it logs them straight in. So this can be done via J2 dashboard. So this is the admin area on your site. So only teachers have access to this. Every teacher will have access to this. And this also works if you are logging in with a managed service. So if you're a Glow school, if you're a C2K, LGFL hub school, this will still work. So we go to the dashboard we go to classes, and there is a QR code button here. Now, don't worry, if I'm going too fast, there is a little video on YouTube that shows you exactly, so you can refer back to that. So that shows you exactly how to create these QR codes. Okay, so I'm going to click on this QR code button, and then I'm going to select a class out of the list. So if I use this drop-down menu, I've got all of my classes. I've also got teaching classes. So if I click class 1, I've got 3 options. This is the one that we want, generate user login codes. So I can click that, and that has now given me a printable list, QR codes, one for each pupil. So you'll notice each user has their own individual QR code. So I can scan that, and it's going to log me straight in to my Just2easy account. Again, no need for usernames, no need for passwords. You just need to open up the camera app on your students' devices, hover it over, and that will log them straight in. Okay, so that is how you can use the pupil login cards. Now, I'm going to give you some practical activities now, and given the time of year, I thought it made sense for us to do some sort of festive creations. So we're going to look at JIT, which is our Just2easy infant toolkit. These tools are fantastic for getting the students used to navigating their way around computer screens and using digital tools. They are, as I said, geared towards the infants. They're icon-based, colourful, and really easy to use. So we're going to look at paint, and that is found, as I said, within JIT. So JIT is here. It's this lovely yellow tile on your launchpad, and it always opens up into Write. So JIT is actually a collection of 8 tools within the same toolkit. And you'll notice the different tools are up here on the left. So we've got different tabs. There's too many T's in here. There's different tabs, which are different tools. So I can click Paint, and that is the blue tab. So for students that can't read yet, you can just refer them to the green tab or the red tab. You'll also know whether they've gone off on a tangent and they're starting to use a different program, because the surround of the page will change colour as well. So Paint is always a blue page, Animate is always a pink page. You get the idea. So the JIT tools open in a very similar way. So they've got that consistency of interface. It's always consistent in the way that it looks and what they have to do and the order they have to do it. So the first thing they have to do is to choose either a background or a template, depending on which tool they're using within the toolkit. So I've got some clip art here, and I can scroll down. I've got some really lovely clip art there. So it'll cover quite a few aspects of the early years curriculum. So things like parks and beaches. I think there's an iceberg somewhere. We've got Halloween and Christmas. They're right at the bottom for Christmas and Nativity. So let's go for, I'm going to go for Christmas this time. And what's nice about these backgrounds is that a related clip art library will load here. So you can see we've got the Christmas background and we've got the Christmas clip art ready to go. So for your younger students, they've got their paint tools at the bottom. So they've got 11 preset colours. They've got an eraser. I'm just going to zoom in just so you can see. They've got an eraser, fill tool, and a paint tool. So in its most basic format, that will do most children, you know, the younger children, certainly. They can adjust how big their brush is. They've got their undo tool at the top, but they can also rub that out. So we can make that brush bigger and we can rub it out. Now it will rub out down to the background, so it won't erase your background. Okay, so that's quite a nice feature as well. Then just to highlight this, maybe for some of your more able students or for the students that you want to push a little bit more, we've also got these 2 buttons here at the bottom. So this one is our texture tool. So I can click that, and that's going to give me some 3D textures now. So obviously it isn't appropriate for this current background, but for things like the park, you could use a grass texture. You've got some brickwork, so they could draw a house, for example. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to draw my house, and I can fill that in. And there we go. I can make that texture a bit finer. So I can make my bricks a bit smaller. And then I could put a red roof on that. And there we go. Okay, lovely, beautiful. The other thing that we can do, we've got the 11 preset colours. You can then use this button here, this little white pipette. We can choose any colour on the colour wheel. So obviously that will be your slightly older children, but that is an option for you. They can find a colour, click OK, and that now is a colour that we can use as a paintbrush tool. Okay. Now I'm going to undo all of that. So I'm just going to press my undo button until it all takes it away, quick and easy. I can reset. Then just to highlight, we've got our clip art top left. So as I said, it's opened with a relevant clip art. So they don't really need to open any other clip art libraries. They can just use these arrows to find relevant clip art. So let's make this bigger. So we've got our larger and smaller buttons. We've also got a rotate button if they want to flip it around. To rotate it, they've got one that will flip it so that it faces the other way. And we've also got a reset button. So if they have made it enormous, which some of them will, you have that reset button and that will reset it to the original size. Okay, now to use the clip art, they need to click on it and then they can click anywhere on the screen and add their clip art. They can then scroll through the clip art library. Let's add in some tiny elves. There we go. What else have we got? Snowman. Let's make a big snowman up here. And we can keep going and keep going. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in Rudolph, of course. And there we go. So they could change that as much as they want. Now the other thing just to highlight is they can use the fill tool. So I haven't probably highlighted this enough, and they can fill the background as well. So they can change elements of the background if they want to. So that's quite a nice feature as well. Now, last thing, we've got the record button at the top. So this is nice for children recording what they've actually done in a lesson. Maybe they could analyse their own learning, what they've learned. Maybe they could link this in, so they could have imagined a Christmas story and they explain what's happening in their story here. So to record, they're just going to hit this record button and then hit this. This is my Christmas story by Miss Kimball. And then we click OK. Now you can re-record that. So if they've gone wrong, you can record. It is only one recording that we can link to this, unfortunately. So it's a one-hit wonder for the kids. I can play that back. This is my Christmas story. Now, because I've got my sound turned down, so I can't hear the. Let's see if I can. Let's try again. This is my Christmas story by Miss Kimball. So hopefully you heard that. And there we go. And then they can title, or you can support them to title their painting. So Christmas. I mean, it would help if I could spell Christmas. Smell Christmas. Christmas story painting. There we go. And then we hit save. The floppy disk, which ironically none of them will ever know what a floppy disk is, because let's face it, it's probably relegated to museums now. Showing my age. And there we go. So that has saved there. And that will save into their My Files. That is in my Files, because I've created that from my account. But if I'd done that within a pupil files, it would save to their files. And I will show you how to access pupil content shortly. Now, the other thing to highlight is this brand new concept that we're doing. We've done 4 of them so far, 5 of them so far. And that is our live lessons. So these are on a Tuesday, generally the third Tuesday in a month, but next month it's the second Tuesday. I think it's the 12th of December off the top of my head. We are doing a live lesson for reception and year 1, which is P1, P2 for those of you that are from Scotland. I think I must be mental, but we're doing that exact activity. So the concept is that you log in with your students. It may be a small group of students, could be the whole class if you're feeling brave, and you all follow along. So I will teach your class for you. It allows you to be able to rotate around the room, and we'll do that painting activity step by step. So I will show them how to load in their background, I will show them how to add in clip art, and I will show them how to save their image. So that is on YouTube. We will be posting about it on social media, so give us a like and a follow, and you will get notifications of that coming up. So that is designed, as I said, for reception and year 1. Oh dear. Right, we're going to have a quick look at JIT Pictogram now. So this is our pictogram tool. It allows us to create a pictogram from a template. We can edit the templates, we can lock the templates, we can create the pictograms and also save pictograms. So that is again within JIT. So we've got our pictogram tool is up here. So it is a red page. And again, the same as we did with paint, we're prompted to choose a template in this instance as opposed to a background, but it works in a very similar way. So we do have a blank one that you can start from scratch if you were doing this around a specific theme or topic that you're doing in class. But there are some common pictogram subjects here. So things like pets, favourite fruit, mini beasts that you found on a mini beast hunt, weather and how you get to school. Okay, so let's open up some fruit. Now it will open up and it will be locked. So what that means is we can't edit this background at the moment. We can input the data, so they can come up to the board and press the plus and the minus, but they can't add anything, and you can't add anything. So if you wanted to edit it, we just click this edit button here. And for example, maybe we're trying to find out what fruit they want at break time that day. And we haven't got strawberries. So we can take that box away by clicking on that minus button. But we might have cherries for that particular day. Now we've got our clip art here. If I click the word Christmas, this is going to open up the different clip art library. So I didn't show you this in Paint, but it works exactly the same way in Paint. We've got our different clip art library. So there is a food and drink clip art library, but I know for a fact that there isn't any cherries in there. So I've actually got this web search function here, and I can look for cherry. And that will do a web search, and there we go. I'm going to click this one, and then I'm going to hover over that box, and you can see that box is sort of turned red. I can click, and that's going to add that into that box for me now. So let's go cherry, and I can change the label. And there we go, and that is how quick and easy it is to edit that pictogram. Then once you've finished, you can untick that edit box, and it removes all that editing software along the left-hand side. Editing tool, should I say, down the left-hand side, and just leaves us with our pictogram. So the children can come up and choose their choice, for example. And then when it's complete, again, you rename. You can add a soundbite if you wanted to. So fruits, pictogram, and click save. And that's going to save again into my files. And there it is, there you can see. So that is JIT Paint and Pictogram. You also have things like Write, which allows you to do some word processing. So we can write things. We've got text tools along the left-hand side and word lists. Should you be working at that level with your students, they can change things like the background. So for example, ice, they've got an ice word list that has text to speech within it, so they can listen to words.
Frozen.
And they can also write words. So we've got text, font size, a different font. They can write on it. So let's look for ice. And they can change things like the text color really easily without having to highlight anything, without having to double click anything. They just press on these buttons and that will change it immediately. This one has also got speech to text built into it. So that's nice for those, obviously those children that are pre-writing age. Instead of writing their content, we could dictate it. So we could say, I didn't prep this bit. I'm trying to think of a sentence. Penguins live in the Arctic. I'm not entirely sure that that is scientifically correct. We'll go with it. And we click add text, and that's added that into my document. I have a feeling it's the Antarctic. I know that penguins and polar bears will never meet because they're in separate continents. But anyway, we'll gloss over that. So that is your speech to text. And then students also have that text to speech at the corner there, so they can.
Penguins live in the Arctic.
They can listen to their writing once they've created it. So even though your students are probably not, or they're working at a phonetic level, they can still create writing documents. Okay. And then obviously you would save that. You've also got the record function, so they could record themselves talking about their writing, and then they would save it. And then we've also got Turtle. So this is the beginnings of coding. Great for your directional language. The students can navigate this sprite around the page. Great for tying in with things like your Bebot work. So if you're doing maybe a carousel of activities, you could have Bebots on one table, then they come up to the board and use the sprite on screen, so they can transfer those skills that they've learnt with the Bebots. So that's an idea for you. And this one's actually built around the big bad wolf, so they have to navigate around each house in the right order, and the houses will collapse apart from the brick one, because obviously that one doesn't fall down, does it? So that is JIT, a wonderful tool. I'm going to showcase this video to you, and I'm just going to turn my sound up now. I had to turn it down because the doorbell keeps going off if it distracts me. So we've got JIT in action. This is a lovely video about a young, I think she was 4 when this was taken, possibly 3.5, 4, and about how she intuitively picks up a lot of the skills and then develops it independently. So have a look.
This is Rosie. Rosie is 4 and has not yet started school or had any computing teaching. She discovered Just2easy for the first time yesterday. So today I'm going to show her a couple of features within Paint and Animate that are brand new to her, to demonstrate how easy it is for even the youngest children to pick up and use the tools within J2E. The other day you were doing some drawing with a paintbrush, but today I'm going to show you how to stamp some pictures into your picture. Okay?
That would be beautiful.
Okay.
Pink.
So the stamps are things like, we've got stamps of animals, stamps of dinosaurs,
Flowers.
flowers. Okay then, so can you click on that flower? Then you can see all the different flowers you can stamp onto the page. So which flower would you like?
This red one.
That red one. Okay, well that means you can use it. So do you want it that size, bigger or smaller?
Big.
So we can make it bigger like by pressing the plus button, and we can make it smaller by pressing
That's as small
the
as
takeaway button.
I
And
want.
then when we want it on the screen, we tap where we want it. So let's try adding a bigger flower.
Yeah.
So press the plus button to make it a bit bigger. That's it. Now try putting onto the screen. Now try putting on. Oh, that's really big. Now tap where you want it. Wow. Okay, so let's do a new picture. Mummy and Daddy and Rosie at the zoo. Next up, we're going to look at Animate, and I'll show her how to make a snowy day animation. We're starting by using that new stamping skill that she's just learnt to add a snowman to the background. Okay, so if you remember, these on the bottom are our frames. Okay, so I'm going to click on the first frame, and I'm going to, can you click on the white button? You get it? Perfect. And I'm going to ask you to put some snow dots. Shall I show you first of all?
No, I can do it.
Okay, dot some snow all over the screen. Then to add a new frame, you're going to press the green plus button. Now, do you remember the shadowy bits show you where you put the snow in the last frame, but they're not really there, they're pretend. So in this frame, you're going to put snow in different places. Should we have a look at it? Press play. Let's have a look at how it's going. That's it. Happy?
Maybe.
So I'm going to stop it there, but I just think that gives a really nice overview and idea about how quickly and easily they pick up a lot of these skills and are able to transfer them across multiple tools within JIT and across Just2easy as a whole. Right, I'm going to showcase J2E5 now. This is a great tool for creating activities for your students to engage with. And one of those particular activities is creating jigsaws. Now we can turn any picture into a jigsaw using J2E5. So this is really nice to link in with any topic work that you're doing. You can turn any photograph, including student photographs or photographs of around school or photographs that you've had on trips, into a jigsaw. So I'm going to open up J2E5, which is here. And it's kind of like a digital blank piece of paper. So there's a couple of things that we can do. You can click anywhere and add any text if you wanted to. We've also got our background tools at the bottom, so we can change the page orientation. We've got some paper backgrounds, so we can choose a nice paper background to add. And we can also change the page colour. So this box here, if I tick this and then choose a colour, I can change my page background quickly and easily. Then the other thing we've got is up here at the top. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see this button here. That is our pictures tool. So if I click that, that's going to open into your My Files. So we've got various pictures that I've already used. I've created a Christmas jumper. But I actually created a JIT nativity scene earlier and I saved that as an image so I can drag that in. Other things I can do, I've also got the web search. So if you are doing a particular focus, so we could look for nativity, for example. I'm not sure why that hasn't searched. There we go, clip art. It should come up with some pictures. There we go. So there's some nice nativity scenes, and that passes through a safe search and a copyright filter. So you're not going to get nasty surprises there. But you know, you could tie that in with any topic that you're doing in class. If you add something by mistake, you can click on that picture, hit delete, and that will take that away. Then to resize this picture, we just click and we use these blue boxes in the corners to drag and make it and resize it. So there we go. So that is my picture added. So then to convert it into a jigsaw, I click on that image and I've got some options down here along the right hand side. So I can change things like the shape of the photo. I can add a frame to it if I wanted to. I can make it rounded. But this is the one that we're going to look at, is convert to jigsaw. So as soon as I click that, it'll turn that image into a jigsaw. Now I have some control over that as a teacher. I can dictate the number of pieces. So I could make it very easy. I could make it very difficult. There we go. We can add things like a scatter button, so they can click on the scatter button, they can reset it. We can add in a solve button, so if they do get stuck, they can just press solve. And I quite like this one. You can add in a hint. So what that will do, if I pull this away, you'll be given a sort of a ghost picture. So it's almost like the lid of the box that they need to match to. So it's a great way of helping them problem solve and figure out where each piece goes. Now, I used to have a child that was on the spectrum, and his special interest was jigsaws, and this would have been the answer to all my prayers, because he soon got bored of the jigsaws that I had in class. So you can continually change, you know, which jigsaw and how difficult it is for your students. So at the moment, I am in what we call the edit mode of J2E5. And you're probably thinking, well, there's a lot of buttons around the outside, and it can look a bit complicated. So what we have is the view mode. So if you see top left, this is view. That will take all of those buttons away, and it just leaves the puzzle on its own. Obviously, you've got the buttons, so I can click on that scatter button. I can move these around, and I shouldn't have made this quite as complicated as I did. Let's make it much easier for me to solve. There we go. Let's try that again. Scatter. So now, when I add my pieces into the right place, they should, she says, click together. So it does give the students that feedback that it's in the right place. And obviously they can hit that solve button as well, and that will solve that particular jigsaw, and then reset it ready for the next child. So there you go. Then if you have created that, you click save button here, and again, that's going to save into your My Files area. So if we have nativity jigsaw, I feel like I might have saved that already. Yeah. Let's add 22. There we go. So there you can see, if I go to my Files, there is that jigsaw ready for me to use. So that's an idea for you. That's J2E5 using the jigsaw option. Now, what I'm going to showcase to you is our library. So this is full of pre-made, teacher-made content. So this is mostly made by the Just2easy educational consultant, or the ed team, should I say. But there are some submissions from regular teachers as well on the shop floor, and you're more than welcome to submit anything that you do make if you think it's particularly good or useful. So I thought I would separate these into festive Christmas activities that you could use this term, and then we'll look at some more sort of generic all year round activities. So the library can be found at the top of your Launchpad. And at the moment, I think there's close to 2,000 resources here. So you can search for things. So things like EYFS or early years. If you search for that, it will bring up quite a lot of content. So if I find, for example, this number 4, maybe I'm looking at number 4 this week in my class, and I want them to do some number formation tasks. What I can do, I can like it, so that will save into my liked resources area. So it might be that you find a resource, you think that looks brilliant, but I'm not doing that till spring 2, for example. You can like that, and it will save into your liked resources area, ready for you to come back and share it with your students. Now, my students will only have access to this if I share content with them. So if I click share, I can select which students I want to access that. So maybe you might have a child that's working above and beyond where they should be. You could just set that for Lottie, for example. You could set it for the whole class. So we've got the classes tab here, and I can click the whole class, and now they all have access to that. So just to show you, when your students log in, remember they can use that QR code to log in, and that QR code can be sent home as well. So if this is something you want them to do at home, that is an option. And they can go to the library at the top, and there is that activity that I have just shared. So your students can then open that up. They can change the size of their brush because it's in JIT paint. And this is brilliant if you are on a touchscreen device, not quite so great when you've got a mouse. I used to buy styluses off of Amazon, but other online providers are available. And I think they were like ridiculously cheap. I think they were like 50p each. So I think I bought 20. And that was a great way of building on those skills, moving it from using their fingers to tracking and mark making to then developing their pincer grip and using that stylus on the touchscreen device. So it might be worth having a think about and investing if you wanted to. Then students, once they hit save, that will save into their My Files. So that is the library. So just to show you some of these activities. Now these three are all very similar. They are draggable resources. So I'm going to show you the Christmas tree. Again, these are all available within the resource library. I think we just searched Christmas, and this opens already into the view mode in J2E5 because it's a J2E5 file, and the children can drag and decorate their Christmas tree. Isn't that lovely? And they can go at the top, they can add their baubles in, they've got their candy canes, stars. So there we go. And then once they've finished that, they may need some support with this, but they go to edit and then they click save, and that will save a copy into their My Files. So once that's shared, that will save that copy into My Files. So that is one of those resources. We've also got the design your own Christmas jumper. So this, bear with me. Let me adjust my link. There we go. That's better. So this is built around JIT. So the children can use the fill tools, they can use the Christmas stamp, and they can start stamping things. They can draw things. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. So they could add spots to it. They can change these clip arts, they can add that in. They could add photos in, and then they save that. So that would save a copy into their My Files area. So that is your design your own Christmas jumper activity. We've also got the paint. So these are, again, in JIT Paint. The best way to do these is to use the fill tool. But again, you could use things like the texture tool. And they could fill in the baubles. They can fill in the presents. Oh, if they go wrong, they can hit undo. And there you go. Last one. Let's do the star. There we go. And again, they hit save, and that will save into their My Files area. So those are the best Christmas activities I could find. We've also got things like mark making and tracking. So again, this is built in Paint, and this is just a different activity. They can choose a different pen color. So this is very like the numbers that we've just seen, and then they track across the dot to dots as closely as possible. As I said earlier, much easier when you've got a touchscreen device than it is with a mouse. So that is some mark making or some tracking activities. We've also got, these are built around, so this is a JIT Paint, so they draw their monster to reflect how they're feeling or to analyse and have a think about the feelings. So it's great for teaching that emotional intelligence, that personal, social, emotional well-being side of the curriculum. This one is a draggable J2E5 file, so they can choose how they're feeling of a morning. They might need a bit of support with this, but they can go to edit and they can hit save, and that will save within their My Files area. And these ones are repeating patterns. So the children can drag these and complete that repeating pattern. So we have a lot of seasonal ones. We've got some Halloween ones, some spring ones, some Christmas ones ready for you to use. And then lastly, some phonics activities. Now, the difficulty when designing this course or this training session was that in England, early years is counted as reception year 1, but in Northern Ireland, I think in Scotland as well, it is counted as P1, P2, P3. So there is a broader spectrum. So that's why I've included the phonics. No, that's not right. Early years is nursery and reception in England. Sorry, excuse me. So the phonics I've included just in case you needed it. So I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone and somebody's thinking, oh, you don't know anything about the early years curriculum. I included it. So we've got all sorts of the letters and sounds phonic curriculum. So right from phase 1, so these ones are designed by Rachel, one of our ed consultants, and they're fab. So they click on the stars and they listen to the sound. They have to match it to the relevant sound. So they're doing sound matching. So it's a listening activity. And I haven't linked that for some bizarre reason, but you can find that under phase 1. Phase 2, they can drag that sat pin and they can drag the letters to reflect what is in the boxes. This one is phase 3. So this is, building on your digraphs. So we've got things like and these are actually linked to sound. So if you look, when I hover over it, it's got that line underneath. That means it'll play a sound. So they can click on these buttons to help them to decode what that says. So that's a really nice activity. I think Rachel's done fabulously well with that. We've also got things like word creation. I need to pick it up because I've still got quite a bit to get through. And they can make their own words. So they can drag, these are infinite clones. And they can keep creating as many words as they want. And then lastly, this one is your letter formation. So much as like we did earlier, this is built in JIT paint. So they follow the letters, and they've also got the free writing area where they can write. There's lots of initial letter versions of this. Okay, I'm going to talk about pupil files now. So I have said time and time again, once a pupil completes a piece of work, it saves into their My Files area. So it's really important that you understand, once a student has saved something, how you can access it as a teacher. And that can be done via the pupils files, the pupil files. So this gives you full access to each child's My Files area. And it will show you all of their saved work, including anything they've done in class, any homework they might have set, and anything edited from the library will be saved into their My Files. Any pictures, videos or sounds, such as the ones that we looked at earlier with evidencing, those will save into the child's My Files, so you will have access to those. Any photos and files added directly into the My Files area, so I'll show you how to do that. And also content uploaded by parents if you're using the parent portal, which I am going to showcase in a second. So any content uploaded by a parent, that will be in the child's My Files or the pupil files area. It will make sense in a second. Let me just close some of these down. Okay, so the pupils files is here. There is also a tab when you're in your own My Files. There is a tab that says pupil files. So you can go either way of getting in. It takes you to exactly the same place. And you'll see a number of green folders. So these will be your registration classes. So these are, if you are in a managed service, this will be the registration classes that the kids are put in within SIMS or your managed service. So you can click in any of these classes. So let's have a look at class 1. And there you can see we've got all 20 children, and we can click in each child's file, and that's going to give me an idea of what they have created. So we can see we've got Lottie. She's created some lovely work. We've got her story retell. This is my sound recording of me retelling a story. And that was the one that we moved across earlier. So that was the one that we recorded on the teacher account, then selected each child that it was involved with that particular activity, and that has moved a copy across to her file. We can also see all the files that she's created today. So let's have a look at her Christmas jumper. How beautiful. That's how I was spending my afternoon this afternoon. It was wonderful. So you always have access to your students' files. Okay. other things that we can do within the pupil files area. You can upload photographs directly into that child's file. So if you are using this as a kind of digital portfolio or a profiling area, you do have the option to take a photograph straight in. So there's my dining room. Hello. And that can be added into the child's My Files. So, you know, if you were taking pictures, if they were doing work, that has added it in. I just need to refresh that page. So let's click on those again. So there we go. So if you are, you know, going around classroom, taking pictures of them doing work, you can add it directly into their My Files. You've also got the option to add in new pieces of work or videos directly in. And the other thing that we can do is we can track progress. If I click here, we can track against progressional frameworks. I don't think we've got any early EYFS. There we go. And I think this, there we go. So we could say that this meets expected, emerging, expected, and expected. So there we go. Those are the targets that we're hitting against that particular piece of work. Now you'll see the numbers. I can click on those numbers and that's going to show me the other pieces of work that that child has hit those targets with. Okay. So that's a whistle-stop tour of the pupil files. The only other thing to show you, if I'm in my class view, so I've gone back a stage and you're thinking, I don't want to go into every kid's folder. There we go. If I go to my class view, that's better. I was wondering why it looked different. I do have this option for list files. So if I click that, that's now going to show me all of the pieces of work that every student has uploaded. So Bobby's uploaded things or saved things. We've got Harry and David have created things. So that gives me an overview of all of the pupils' work. So that is your pupil files area. Now, parent portal. I'm not going to get into this massively. I know this is probably something that you are interested in as a way of communicating with home. So I am going to showcase to you how to send messages, and I'm going to give you a very quick look at the parent portal. Now, the only reason I'm not going to get into this is because we have done a webinar already. We are going to be delivering another updated webinar in January. I think we are scheduling that for. So join us for that because it is a huge subject and something that I can't do in 6 minutes. But that webinar that we've already recorded is available on YouTube should you want to know more about the parent portal. So the parent portal has to be set up. Parents have to be invited to it. They can be sent QR codes or invited via email, and that is done through the dashboard. Once your parent portal is set up, you can use our tool called J2Message to message parents and carers. So I can click this. That's going to open up my J2Message. Now I want to message all parents and carers in class 1. So that's my youngest class. When I click on class 1, you'll see this subsection saying message all parents and carers. So this at the moment is messaging the pupils. If I click this button, that will message all parents and carers. So you can see these are all the messages that I have sent. So let's say tomorrow is non-uniform day. Okay, and I can hit send, and that's going to send to my parents. Now, I've also got a little notification that's come up on my phone. So that is brand new, released, I think this week, or I think this week actually. I think it was released on Monday. So your parents will get notifications now on the app that they have had a message from a teacher, so they're not going to miss anything. So just to show you, this is the parent portal. I'm now a parent. So if I sign in, your parents will have to register an account. They can see multiple children, so they don't have to log out and log back in. They can see all of their children within one account. They choose the child they want to look at. So for example, Lottie here, they can look at things like their child files. They can upload content for their child. But there's the messaging service. And if I click on this button, you can see that the school is closed for staff training tomorrow, and it's also a non-uniform day, funnily enough. And as a school, I have chosen to not allow parents to message back. So you have the ability to switch parental messaging on and off. Now, if you choose to switch it on and a parent was to respond, it would go to a one-to-one message between you and that parent. It would never feature in a whole class discussion board. Okay, but as I said, that is a huge subject. I just wanted to showcase that we do have that messaging service available should you want to use it, and look out for details of the webinar that we're going to schedule for a parent portal update. Okay. Now, I'm almost done. You'll probably notice that I haven't made any reference to observations. Now, the reason for that is I like to get schools to use the site to become familiar with things like J2E5, JIT, and the pupil files, and moving content around from my files to pupil files and that kind of thing, before then using Just2easy for observations. So what I've decided to do is to schedule an additional webinar. Again, this is going to be recorded and added to YouTube. So if you're not free on the 11th of December, it will be available almost immediately afterwards. So 11th of December, 3:30 till 4, I am going to be explaining how you can add in pro formas that you're already using to Just2easy, how you can integrate those into things like J2E5 and J2PDF, how you can save them, and how you can move them into pupil files, because there is, it's not technical, but you just need to have some understanding of how the site works first. So that is on the 11th of December. As I said, it's only half an hour, and we'll get through all of that content. Then further support, you can message us at edteam@j2e.com. We like to think we're quite responsive to messages, so if you have got any questions about anything, then just drop us an email. We're on Facebook and X, formerly known as Twitter, and those are our handles. And Just2easy TV, so that is our YouTube channel, where all of our webinars are listed, and also our live lessons. So that's where you'll find the live lesson link as well. So, have we got any questions, or have we had any questions in the chat at all? I don't anticipate that Mary and Danny won't have been able to answer them, but
we've been answering quite a lot as we go along, Nikki. There is just one. Someone's just asked, they missed the start of the webinar, and they just wondered how you brought up the paint package in the first place. So maybe you could just show the tile on the launch screen. So
JIT, that is the paint package, is here. So you open that up, and then it's 8 tools within the JIT toolkit. So you've got Write, Paint is where you would create your paintings. We've got Turtle for your coding, Chart, which I know is not EYFS, but that's there as well. We've got Pictogram, Animate for your stop frame animations, Branch and Mix, which are very much upper key stage 1, key stage 2 tools. So it's a very broad tool in itself. But yeah, if you want me to answer any questions, please feel free to type in the chat. If not, I will say thank you very much for attending. It's been a pleasure to have so many people. We hope that we've answered most of your questions, and we hope to see you for more webinars in the future.
Nikki, there was just one question. I don't know if we've got just a second to answer. Again, sure. Someone missed the start of the webinar and wondered where they get QR codes to send home. Could maybe just show where those are.
Sure, not a problem. So our QR codes, there is a video on YouTube, because I know I went through this very quickly at the start. So if you need reminding of this at a later date, that is on our YouTube channel. But they are created through the dashboard. So this is an admin tool, teacher only tool. So when you open that up, don't get too scared, don't worry. We're just going to go to the classes tab. And then you've got this QR code button. So if I just zoom in, QR code button just there. If I click that, you then select your class out of the list, and you're going to go for this one, generate user login codes. Okay, so these are the ones that will be appropriate for your younger students. And there we go. That is a printable PDF. There is a QR code per child or per user. These are personal for each user, so the child will open up their device. They open up the camera app on their device, so not the camera app on our Launchpad that I showed. You know, so if you're opening up your iPad, for example, you open up the iPad camera app. You hover over, you scan it, click the link, and that will log them straight in. So no need for a username, no need for a password. And you can print these off, send them home if you want to, if you're wanting them to have a go at home. We get quite a lot of parent questions coming through the support desk where they say, my kid loves using this at school and I want a free trial. So, if they're loving using it in school, there's no harm in sending this home and letting them have a go at home if you want to. So that is your QR codes. And as I said, there is a video on the YouTube channel. Let me just show you the YouTube channel before everybody heads off. So this is our YouTube channel. We've got our webinars. This is where this webinar will be listed. Live lessons, so we can see. And there you go, QR code logins. It is a 2-minute video. So if you need something to refer back to, that is there. Okay. You're very welcome.
Nikki, you have one more question there,
yeah,
for the
I've just
library. Okay.
About the webinars being advertised.
There's one from Amy saying, how do I access the files from the library, please? I think it's if you share them, maybe how do pupils.
Mary, that's a slightly complex question because I think Amy's in Wales and it's a different situation in Wales. So I'm going to talk to Amy about by email. She sent me an email, so I'm going to converse with Amy about that.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, Amy, we will sort that for you, Amy. All right. And then can only admins have smaller groups? Okay. So May, I'm going to answer your question first, and then I'm working down the list as we go. The teaching groups, so those are those purple classes. In fact, if I share my screen again, please feel free to head off if nobody wants to sort of know this information, but you can set up smaller groups of smaller groups of children. So when I go into my pupil files, you'll see I've got the green classes. Those are my registration classes. Those are your 30 groups of children. You can set up these much smaller groups. So these are great if you've got maybe table groups, maybe you've got your children that are really working above and beyond and you want to push them. And this allows you to set up those smaller groups. And that again can be done in the dashboard. So let me just show you. So I'm in the dashboard, I'm in the classes tab, and I've got this plus button here so I can add. Now, if you're in a managed service, so Hub, C2K, Glow, LGFL, which I think will be the majority of you, you won't have the option to create a registration class because that's already done by your managed service. So you will probably just have a box that says class name, in which case you would create your class name. So for example, let's go for nursery. I need to tick a teaching class and I click OK. Now that has added, there we go, my nursery group. I'm the only one in that group at the moment. So if I use this drop down menu, I can click the plus, and now if I just scroll up, I can select who I want to add into that class. And in fact, if I hold down my control button whilst I'm doing it, I can select multiple users. So that could be other teachers, could be pupils. So this is quite a nice thing to do. Maybe if you're working within a cohort of teachers, you could set up a staff group or an early years staff group, and that just makes it easier to share content. So that is how you can create those, and any teacher can do those. It doesn't have to be an admin. So every teacher is able to do that. And then advertising for the webinars. We're not emailing schools at the moment. We are doing that through social media. So mostly Facebook and Twitter. I hope that's okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends. Yeah. It is on our website as well. I should say that. So if I pop this in the chat, just2easy.com/training, that is the link to all of our training that we're doing this academic year. So I do 3 of these webinars per month. They're keeping me busy. And we're doing a variety. So we're doing beginners, intermediate, advanced. We're doing curriculum focused. We're also doing the live lessons are designed for the children, and we are thinking about doing some parent portal for parents training as well. There we go. Thank you, Danny. So that is in the link. So if you want to book on any more of our webinars, then just hit that link, and they're all free. Register as many as you want. So yeah, okay. Well, I'm impressed there's still 23 people hanging around.
I like the comment that said super support in the chat too, since I was doing that function.
Absolutely.
Nice to get
recognition from my support team, obviously. So unless there's any more questions, I mean, I'm more than happy to hang around, but you are more than welcome to head off. It doesn't even have to be anything that we covered tonight. If there's anything that you just want to know in general, I'm more than happy to answer. But I'm sure you've probably got homes that you need to be going home to. So, right.
Amy, if you're able to hang on to into the webinar for another 2 or 3 or 4 minutes when it's just quieting down a little bit, I'll just go through a couple of your questions with you, because there are some peculiar or particular things that relate to Wales, which I can talk you through.
You're very welcome. Thank you for all the feedback, everyone. Okay, I am going to love you and leave you, everyone. Or not leave you. I'm going to turn my camera off. So thank you very much for attending. I hope you have a lovely Wednesday evening, and we hope to see you for more sessions soon.
Thanks, Nikki.